podcast where we help you go from fed up to faith fueled, helping you to become the wise, divine women that you've been called to be. Today, I have Kim Costa, and we're kind of looking at this from a different perspective, something that you wouldn't really consider to be maybe a body, mind, soul connection to things, which I found so fascinating, is that Kim is a realtor. But Kim, what have you found and what brought you to where you are today? And welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Dana. Is it Dana or Dana?
I'll answer to both.
Okay,
Dana.
good. Same with my last name, Costa or Costa.
Awesome.
So what brought me to this wheelhouse method? Well, it's two things. My background in human resource development, as well as my parents were human resource people. So I always saw people's potential, but then I also loved interior design, and I was in residential construction for almost 30 years. And so I would see the potential of the home as well. So I've developed a framework to maximize both the person and who they're supposed to be in this next stage of life, and the home, the environment that they surround themselves with.
And we were joking off screen before we started in that everyone or most people know my husband's in kitchen design and installation, and I always laugh that a kitchen is not going to save a marriage. So it's again this beautiful wheelhouse that actually steps back in and kind of addresses that question, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And the subtitle of the book, Live in Your Wheelhouse, was going to be sometimes it's not about the house. It's more about have you maximized your potential? Are you being authentic? And then the foundation of the wheelhouse is are the four M's, and it's myself, mastery, mission, and mates. So myself is, are you living authentically to who you were meant to be? What gifts that you were given are you using and mastering? Because that brings joy. And how are you using those gifts to help other people, which is mission? And then lastly is mates. Have you surrounded yourself with the right partner for you and the right friends? And who do you allow in your house? Do they support you or do they sabotage you? And so that's the foundation before we even get up into the wheel of life and the eight areas that support that.
Wow, that
Mm.
is phenomenal. Really,
Yeah.
honestly, that is such a great way to look at things, and it encompasses everything in life,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I love that. And then you, of course, you are a realtor,
Yes.
and
I
that
am.
just really weirdly fits perfectly into the scheme of things.
Absolutely. And, I've got a background in interior design and finance and human resources and all that and construction and all that. So it kind of all led to, gosh, I think I can speak to most of the eight areas. Now, I'm not an expert in each of the eight areas. So I'm sort of a generalist that can take a look and provide clarity for where a person is in their life, and especially if they're going through life change, and how they can now change their environment to like really maximize this next 10 years, 15 years, however long the next
Was there
stage is
a,
going to be.
was there a turning point that created this revelation that created the wheelhouse?
Well, there were a couple. There were two big ones. One was I was living in a gorgeous home, Southern living worthy with the four-board fencing, very large and lots of acreage and horses and a swimming pool and all
Yep.
this entertainment, all the big, just beautiful.
Yep.
But I really wasn't happy. It was, and now I know that my personality is extroverted, intuitive, feeling and perceptive on the Myers Briggs. And that means I'm a people person. I'm a creative, right brained, mostly person. But I was I couldn't see a single person from my home. So the extroverted part was suffering. The creative side, I was an accountant in the construction industry. So that didn't fit. And I was riding horses and I'm a golfer. So I broke my back at that home, almost was paralyzed. And it really made me wake up and think about I need to start living more in alignment because here I could have been in a wheelchair the rest of my life. Thank goodness I'm not.
Right.
I mean, praise God, I'm not. And then the doctor put her hand on my legs that were still numb, And she said, I don't know why you're going to be able to walk again. You must have an angel on your shoulder. And so I thought, I really need to listen to this shout from above
Right.
that maybe I'm not living in alignment. And so that really woke me up. So I couldn't make a lot of changes at the time because I had a family and young children and et
Right.
cetera. But 15 years later, I did start to make the changes. And once I became a realtor, I did start seeing people going through the same things that I went through.
Interesting. Interesting.
Mm.
Okay, so let's dive into the wheelhouse. Tell me
Yes.
all about it.
Yeah. Okay. So once you get past the foundation, you're going to go up to the living area of the home, the wheelhouse framework, and so that's in the shape of a wheel, a circle with 8 different spokes. It's a tool that life coaches use to kind of evaluate where you are in each section in your life, and so the sections are finance, health, environment, career, romance, fun and leisure, spirituality, and family and friends. So if any of those spokes are low, I'm typically categorizing someone who's moving into some of those categories like, oh, they just got a, let's talk about something good. They just got a promotion. It's a career finance move because their job is in let's just say Houston, Texas, but they live in Connecticut. Well, they definitely are moving. It's a career move. But then the next one might be, well, they got a huge raise, so now they get a home with a pool or whatever it is that is their next thing that they want. Yes.
I love that. And you
Yes.
had first stated about the foundation. So really
Yeah.
none of this matters until you have a foundation
The
understanding
foundation is
yourself.
first. And
Oh,
most importantly, are you being your true self? Because you can live like I did in the perfect home, but unless you're really accepted even of yourself, accepting of yourself as you're truly who you're made to be, it does not matter what house you live in. Right. And so if your foundation is off, just like the foundation of a real home, there's going to be cracks in the upper levels. And so going up Maslow's hierarchy, which is another part of my framework, there are physiological needs that are very serious, love and belonging, self-esteem, aesthetics is at the very top. And most people are choosing for aesthetic needs, but they're ignoring safety needs, that kind of a thing. And so if they're ignoring those other things, those other needs like love and belonging and being seen for myself, I was not feeling that. And safety was certainly at a low because I fell off a horse and broke my back. Was not supposed to be horseback riding, but I did it. I wasn't being authentic to myself. The horses scared me. Love them still, God's creatures, right? But that's not for me. And I was living inauthentically. And you know, it's about more than aesthetics.
it is. It is truly. Yeah. Doesn't matter. It's like putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
If you don't really, take care of that inner needs, right?
Hmm.
All these
Hmm.
desires, then it doesn't matter what's put in front. It's still
Right.
not to your true nature, your true happiness. And I find it a lot of times, even just talking to women in one-to-one situations, it's always like, what is your true joy? Do you even have joy?
Mm.
And we have to sit back in those things because healing and or understanding and or getting through this transition
Hmm.
is about finding your joy again, right?
It is. And some people, I mean, being a mom, being a career person, sometimes we lose ourselves along the way, especially that middle 30 years. I'm in I'm just going to be honest. I'm what my probably last 30, 40, maybe 50 years, we'll see.
Yeah.
And that middle 20, 30 years, a lot of us women, we do everything for everybody else and we lose ourselves along the way. And so I have a special place in my heart for this process for midlifers
Yeah.
because hopefully we've built up a little bit of our finances and we've raised our family perhaps. And we're, finishing out our job and what is going to be next for us because we could have good health for another 30, 40, 50 years. And what's that going to look like? And so
Right.
I really like to spur people on to look inside themselves, get that foundation set, and from that point, go up into the wheel of life. And in each area, what does that ideal living environment look like for you?
That's amazing. I love that. I think it's fantastic. And it's so true because when we get to this stage of like the kids are independent,
Mm-hmm.
your career, some people and they get into their late 40s and 50s
Mm-hmm.
are looking at the retirement end of things if they're
Mm-hmm.
lucky. And then what are they going to do? I posed this question to my cousin. She's 26 years into a career. I'm like, okay, so you've got retirement coming up soon? And she's, no, 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 I've got to pay for my house, her new place that she has. And I'm like, okay, well, but what are you wanting to do after that? Because her spirit is so young,
Right.
right? And I'm like, you can't just go travel for the next 30 years. You can't afford that. Like, it's just, who can? I mean, maybe she can, but I'm doubting not. Well, retirement, I think, for people, even for, well, I say for women, because I find we're into this new season. We're into a new creation. We're into a new transformation for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to fill our own heart's desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's right.
become who we feel we're being called to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks completely different from men to women. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's where that becomes the issue, like deciding on the house or are we moving and what does retirement look like, and that's a whole new table to sit at now, right?
It is. It is. And thankfully so, because we're living longer and we as women have so many more opportunities than we did. You know, women couldn't even get a mortgage back in the 50s by themselves, right? And so we are now able to do these things. We have some more freedoms that we didn't have before. And so let's utilize that. And even if you've been a homemaker your whole life, maybe you start a podcast and you talk about a new or a new hobby, like something you liked to do when you were younger and then life took over, but maybe you used to paint. I used to write, so I started writing again and then published a book, and now I'm, able to speak with all these wonderful, mostly ladies
Hmm.
all over the world. I mean, I never would have thought did this or would have done this, 20 years ago. But
Right.
that doctor, when she said, "You must have an angel on my shoulder," I thought, well, I can't waste this. So
Right.
let me really think about what I was put here to do. And so I encourage women to really push the pause button and sit with um, what they could potentially be doing the rest of their lives, to help other people and meet new people and bring some joy to themselves and others. Yeah.
I love that. I think it's fantastic. So, gosh, I don't even know where to start. So, in looking at the foundation,
Mhm.
what exactly are we trying to rebuild in ourselves?
Well, I'll just speak for me as an example. I did lose myself along the way. I um, am half introvert, half extrovert, right? But I was working in accounting, like in a room, crunching numbers when I really just wanted to be out with the people. I wanted to be out with all the designs that I would see and helping people improve their homes and things like that. But instead, I was crunching numbers regarding profit and loss. It was very dry. It was not what I wanted to be doing. I wanted, it wasn't bringing me joy. Now, some people's brains are built so that they're
Oh,
very logical and they love it when this balance sheet is perfect and the reconciling statements. Now, I did get a little bit of joy out of that. I can't lie that when it was, all balanced, I did. It was, oh, that's great. But that's not what I wanted to do 8 hours a day.
right.
And so I really had to find myself again. And I think it looks, because I took a personality test or several, to be honest, and it really pointed to what are my strengths. Um, and I had to sit on that for about 5 years. And because I realized I'm not doing many of the things I'm supposed to be doing according to these tests.
Right.
And so I really had to, I couldn't just change everything. And so I like slowly, I took some design classes. I got my real estate license and then, but still kept working. I switched to an interior design firm. So I was around all the beautiful things, but I was still crunching numbers.
Right.
And so finally, I like step by step exposed myself more to what, how I was made and the potential things that I could be doing and be finding joy. And so I think that's the first step. So that goes right into mastery. So then I mastered I added to my knowledge about home and design, and I added to my knowledge about real estate, and like on the side at night, I mean, all the books you should see all the books I've read about human development and potential, maximizing potential, and what does happiness mean for different people. So
Right.
it's been my fascination. So people just need to question what fascinates me, what do I do in my spare time that brings me joy, and what did I do when I was younger that I haven't done in a while that I really enjoyed.
Excellent. Yes,
Hmm.
that's a great question to ask yourself.
Hmm. Yeah. And I used to write all the time. So when I broke my back, I was stuck at home. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do much. I was in a walker, and I started writing again. I got some accolades when I was younger for writing, and I would just write and for no reason whatsoever. It just brought me joy. So I submitted an essay to the Oprah Winfrey Show because they had a contest going, and like she was my hero, like live your
Yeah.
best life. I mean, I've always been fascinated with the live your best life thing. And so I won. I won the essay contest. And so the producer of the Oprah show called me, and they were like, okay, we want to come to your farm and film. And I was like, oh, no. And so I was like, I can't get this house ready for millions of people to see, and my back is broken, and all these other things. And so I really had to look at what I was turning down, um, and also the fact that I did win the essay contest said that, I must be a decent writer
Right.
for the Oprah show who's really known for picking books and prose and things like that. I must have really hit a point, hit the nail on the head. And so I stuffed that down for about 15 years and continued living an authentic life. Didn't
Right.
tell anyone I had won the whole contest and that they wanted to film. I'm only admitting that now. So, um, yeah, I mean, you just have to look at what opportunities are you giving up by not being your true self.
Right. Right. Which is hard because that was a huge opportunity,
Right.
and probably before your time. Do you know what I mean? Like
It
you weren't
it
ready for
wasn't
it.
my
Right.
time.
It wasn't your time.
Yeah.
But great affirmation or great confirmation of your ability and that what you were being called to do.
Yes.
Right.
You know, there are whispers of what you should do, and then you ignore them because you're busy and oh, I've always done this, and this is what everybody else is doing. And then there were many, many whispers like, oh, I don't know about this horse. Okay, I'll do it anyway because the horse was given to me, blah, blah, whatever. I'll just do it. What could go wrong? Right.
Right.
So I denied many, many intuitive thoughts that I had to not be doing what I was doing. And then you get a bonk over the head. And my bonk over the head was a severely broken back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just, caution people or encourage people to listen to the whispers. When you
Right.
walk in your home, are you sad? Are you lonely? Are you frustrated? Because there's not enough space, or there's too much space and you can't take care of it, and your finances and your time are going out the window. Just sit with how you're feeling about your home as a whole, and
Mm-hmm.
then certain rooms in your home. One can fill the spiritual need. I have a Zen den across the way, where I can meditate, I can pray. Just different areas that fulfill different things that you need as a person. And if
Right.
you're feeling a void in some sort of pain point, pay attention to that.
Very true. Very true.
Mm.
It's hard for people to recognize that intuitiveness inside
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
that inner voice. And it's hard for women of faith to have trust in that as well, I believe.
Mm.
When we start talking intuitiveness or that voice inside, again, we have to have faith and assurance with our connection that we're plumb with
Mm.
God, but that we recognize that it's the Holy Spirit
That's
and
right. Yeah.
that they don't lead us astray, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
ahead of
Mm-hmm.
us, right? Not behind, and that they are always on the watch for the goodness of our lives. So it's hard, and it's hard for them to trust that gut feeling. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm always reminding them like that's the Holy Spirit. Like you've got to recognize that.
I
And
do.
when we start tapping into what it's saying. There's warnings, there's advice, there's elation, there's all these beautiful things. Once we can be still enough and hear and listen. So
Yeah.
it's so hard for our
It is hard to
environment today
do.
to be still enough, right?
Yeah. Be still and listen to God
Yeah,
because he knows best. And I do believe one of the biggest obstacles I had to overcome was thinking I knew best and
yeah,
that I knew what I should be doing. And it just didn't quite work out the way I thought it should. And there was
right.
an emptiness and a void there. And until I had my accident and until I really took stock of who God made me to be,
Hmm.
I mean, I literally thought, I'll just keep doing this controller position. This is how I've made money. And, I'm just going to put my head down and keep going. What else am I going to do? Well, somehow God put in front of me that that's not what you're supposed to be doing. These are not the strengths I gave you. You're wasting opportunity. You're wasting the gifts I've given you. And so it really took a leap of faith for me to say, okay, I'm going to use the right side of my brain that you made a little stronger than the left side.
Right,
You gave me gifts to intuitively empathize with people.
right.
And although it can be painful at times, it is also a gift. And the joy comes when you help people. So it does not come without a cost, but isn't that true of everything? Yeah.
It
So
does. It
you can
does.
live in a void and ignore the gifts you were given, or you can fully master them and make yourself and other people happy. And so that's a choice that sometimes we don't get to make until we're in midlife.
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
When those other responsibilities kind of wane away,
That's right.
and you trust that you've raised them well, and off you
Hmm.
go. And so yeah, it's a beautiful season. A lot of women come into it in this sense that they're expecting chaos and they're expecting all these health challenges and all these things, but
Hmm.
it's a beautiful opportunity to rebuild foundation
Yes.
and rebuild goals
Hmm.
and create not just a longevity plan for life, health wise
Hmm.
or wellness, but a longevity for joy along where are
Yes,
your passions, where's your purpose, what is my mission now? And that is a beautiful place to be.
it is.
Yeah.
And, people view adulthood as this one big season of sameness, from the early 20s to when you die, which can be 60, 70, 80 years,
Yeah.
hopefully of health. Um, but there's seasons. So there's maybe the young career season and then the parenthood season and then the empty nester season where maybe you travel, maybe you pick up a new hobby, things like that. And then the mentor season, I think, is something really important.
Right.
When we're 60, 70, 80, 90s, and we're able to impart the wisdom that we've learned in the first half of our lives.
Right.
And I think that many people, even if it's someone helping young mothers, like, figuring out like this is just the way you do it. There's so many people without families close by that I just feel like we can create more systems as women to help each other know what to do and to ease. There's so much anxiety these days with our
Yeah.
young people. We're 59th in the world for happiness for our young people, and that's just sad.
Very
For
sad.
as many opportunities that we have, I think it's connection that's missing.
Yeah.
So there are for any ladies out there who are wondering, what could I possibly do? Oh my gosh, you've been moms, you've been community caretakers, you've been working in charities. You have gardening skills. I mean, there's many, many ways you can impart your wisdom to other people that will actually make them happy. You don't have to be an influencer. It's really not that healthy mentally for people. Yeah.
No, it's so true. So just to step back for a second, you
Hmm.
had mentioned personality tests. So
Yeah.
for some women, Myers-Briggs, they've heard, but I'm going to guess many people haven't heard of it.
Sure.
unless they were in a corporate situation where they
Yeah.
do those beautiful team building uh, workshops and stuff. You know, you said there were many different ones.
hmm
Which ones did you find that were the best representation of your personality, and what are they called?
So the Myers-Briggs, I believe, is the best tool to look at how you were made, like how your brain works specifically. And then
Hmm.
the other one that I like is the Enneagram, and it's really a lot of Christian folks use the Enneagram, and it's more about what happened to you in your early childhood that then made you react and operate in a certain way as you grew. And so
Oh,
there are these fallback patterns. There are 9 Enneagrams and there are 16 MBTI, Myers Briggs. So one is sort of an innate way that your brain works, and the other is how your environment influenced you and how you react to that now.
interesting,
hmm
interesting. And then you take that information and you can, of course, pray over that.
That's
But
right.
and then you would then take that information and apply it to the wheelhouse.
Yes. So that's the first step is of myself. I mean, I took the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram, the Clifton Strengths test, just to like, because I'm fascinated with it. I've done this for like 30 years. And then I try to guess what other people are and what makes them tick. So that's just the first step of the 4 M's is just really, it may or, and I've changed my Enneagram. I was like, I'm a 3 or a 7. I'm not sure. And then finally, after several times, I think I've honed in on a 7.
Yeah.
But it can switch a little bit depending on your stage of life. Um, but just kind of be in touch with who you are right now. And when I was younger, I was more introverted, and I'm a little more extroverted now. So just recognizing those things, like I'm in a home that I could entertain in, but I also have a quiet place to read and to do my yoga or
Right.
pray.
Hmm.
And so just recognizing how you're built. So I have a fun little, for the Enneagram, I have a fun little game that I play in my workshops, as far as like, everybody take the test before you come, and then these are the 10, based on your number, these are the 10 things potentially you might need in your house. It's kind of funny. It's, certainly not uh, specific
Etched in
science
stone.
based, but it's a
Yeah.
fun test for you to just really be more introspective of what makes you tick and what makes you comfortable and what brings you joy. So yeah, it's not 100% scientific, but it's a place to start.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell me about your book.
Yes. Yes, so live in your wheelhouse. An empowering guide to stay, go, or reno is the subtitle. And so again, it could be about your home for sure, but it could also be about things in your life.
Yeah.
You're going to what are you going to renovate in your life, and then also, or if you don't want to change anything about your life, but you've entered into a different season, maybe you need to switch just one room in your home.
Right.
So the book goes through a little bit of my story about Clarity Farm, which, what an amazing name to the farm, because the whole process provides such clarity. I'm like, okay, that's a God wink right there.
Yeah.
But provided me a lot of clarity, and now I'm helping provide clarity for other people about how they're living. And so it goes a little bit of memoir, very fascinating story. People love to hear, the first part of how I developed this, and then it goes into the Maslow's hierarchy and the Wheel of Life, and Carl Jung, who was the precursor to the MBTI, and so how he built his home based on his personality and his personal growth, even building a tower at the very end of his life, symbolizing his growth and his really reaching towards heaven towards the end of his life. And so I thought that was fascinating.
Very
And
fascinating.
and then the last 8 chapters are each of the spokes of the wheel of life, and specific questions in each of those areas, finance, romance, all those things, to help you figure out where you are now on a scale of 1 to 10 and what would make that area increase. And then it sums it all up with your wheel. Is it a flat tire? Is it a fully inflated wheel so you can roll through life smoothly? And so there's just an analysis at the end to see where you are, and do you need to stay, go, or reno?
Right, right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, where can people find you?
So I have a website that has like it has my book on it. It has some upcoming workshops and some blogs, a little bit about me, and that's lifestylefoundations.com. And I'm on all the socials, Kim
Yeah,
E. Costa.
that's excellent. Excellent.
Hmm.
Is there anything on your heart that I forgot to ask?
Gosh. No, you've done a really good job honing in on exactly the essence of what I'm trying to do. It's been a wonderful conversation. So,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
really
honestly,
appreciate. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Really think just it just all it's all about living authentically and what brings you joy and creating a space around you that supports you in that.
I love that. I love the alliteration of the home, though. That, is very fascinating, and it does means everything. That it's all about that. That's for sure.
Mhm.
And what do you find for yourself, or for the something that you share often? What is a word of wisdom that you may share or that you hold truth to?
Oh goodness, a word of wisdom. There are so many in my head,
I know.
and I know one of my favorites is Maya Angelou. She had some words of wisdom, and I mean, one of them is when people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. And I think that's more by actions than anything else. But I would take that one step further, and that is to really look at who you are as a person. And then you tell people who you are through your environment. Your home should reflect your soul. And so I would say take that a step further and you tell people who you are when they walk in your home, they can feel your soul.
Excellent. That is so true. Very, very nice. Did you ever have anyone sort of speak over you in your faith journey?
Um, I was raised Episcopalian and converted to Catholicism. I go to a non-denominational church now, but I think it was always kind of a private
Okay.
matter. Does that
No.
make sense?
No,
But in my
absolutely.
growing up, but that being said, my I go to church with my mom. She's 89. She's very spiritual, but it's a little so I don't maybe I'm not sure what that means speak over. Now I'm
Well,
fascinated with that.
so it's just that if you ever been with a group of women or prayer warriors or different things like that, where you're in prayer or you're at a workshop, and
Yeah.
you always have these sages or these older women who are these wise women, right?
Yes.
And we always just call them prayer warriors, but and then have them speak over you. I think the probably the turning point would have been when they said that you had an angel. The doctor said you had an angel in your
I
shoulder,
think
right?
that
So
would be very apropos to what you're saying, for
yeah,
sure. Because we were by ourselves and like I felt her spirit when she touched me. And when
yeah,
she touched me and like she saw me, like it was almost like you there's more to you than
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So get
one of
those
mine.
legs moving, girl.
Yeah, exactly. You've got things to do.
You got
Tough, tough.
things to do.
Yeah, and I think what I was, it's always fascinating to me because everyone's spiritual or religious sort of experience is completely different, and everybody
Hmm.
has a different walk, and I think it's absolutely amazing. But I do remember, as we were talking before, like the things we were supposed to do, the things we are doing. So many, many years ago, I had someone speak over me in the sense of that I would be speaking to women,
Wow.
and so this was the only vehicle at the time, now because
Yes.
my career changed and then COVID happened. And so, but it always made sort of that sense of things. And when you were brought up as a writer,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
always stuck true to you.
It
Whereas,
did.
yeah,
And
I was,
actually,
yeah,
through my writing more than my speaking, I had people see me. I had them read my works in front of a class as a young child, and with surprise endings, and no, didn't read anybody else's, just mine. And everyone at the end turned around and looked at me like, "You wrote that?" And because I was kind of quiet,
Yeah,
and so I was like, okay, so maybe I was always supposed to speak to people through my writing.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's amazing. Mine was the opposite. I've always been sort of a good speaker,
Yeah.
and then, was that sort of fear of writing was sort of spoke over me in high school, which I should have just announced it, and I should just announce it, but I love speaking. I am not a good writer. So and I'm so thankful that you can speak into things and correct it. So, but
Yeah. Well, we should join forces. I can do the writing, you can do the speaking,
I'll
and
do the
you can give
speaking.
me ideas and I'll write them.
Oh my gosh, Kim, this has been an absolute delight talking to you. And honestly, get into the book, because, or even just step back. And again, in this season,
Hmm.
if you're like me out there in the world and you're starting a new season or kind of mid-cycle season, something
Hmm.
new, something transitional, step back into those two personality tests, because
Mm.
I remember them doing them 20 years ago, and
Right.
that seems to have flown by like that.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see now what those personality tests would sort of bring about, and the
Hmm.
Enneagram,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then see how that parallels to what you may have done in the past and to
Hmm.
what it's doing now. And especially if you're struggling with purpose and mission and passion, that is something to sort of step into. And please grab Kim's book. I love the wheelhouse. I think that's a fascinating approach. I love the alliteration of the home, and I love everything that you are doing, because it's needed,
Yeah.
right? It is so
Yeah.
needed in this world, Kim.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being part of this show. Thank you so much for taking this treasured time out of your day.
It has been my pleasure, truly. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the show today. All of Kim's information will be in the show notes, of course, and please reach out to her. It'll be a great way to sort of reframe yourself for the next, season of your life. Thank you for joining us.